Welcome to the Rotary Times Show, a public service program presented by Rotary District 7610, Virginia. On our programs, we talk with Rotarians and community leaders and discuss how Rotary International builds partnerships to support local, national, and world communities. I'm your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. The success of a Rotary Club is dependent on the club president. They lead, inspire, motivate, and connect their clubs with communities and others locally and around the world. Joining me remotely is Rotarian Daniel Burkitt, who is the president of the Rotary Club of Rosslyn-Fort, Myer, Virginia, for the 2024-25 Rotary year. Welcome, President Daniel, to the Rotary Times Show.
Hello. Hello, hello.
Yeah.
Thank you for the invitation.
Well, we're loving you and we're loving what you guys are doing over at Rosslyn-Fort Myer, and my audience will be thrilled to hear some of those things directly from the club president. So let's get started. Let's start because a lot of times we need to know, or they like to, the audience likes to know a bit about your journey. What inspired you to join Rotary and ultimately serve as the club president?
Actually, I have a funny story about that. When I was introduced to the club, it was through a friend from our synagogue, and he was after me to join Rotary. And of course, I didn't know very much about Rotary at all, and I had even less interest in joining anything. But he kept pursuing me and kept pursuing me. And one day he said, "Give me a reason why you're not joining the club," his club, which was the Rosslyn-Fort Myer Rotary Club. And I ran out of reasons. So I've been a Rotarian ever since, and very happy to be one.
Absolutely. How long have you been in Rotary?
Somewhere north of 20 years.
Wow, wow. Wonderful. Well, congratulations, because that's a lot of time to put in. You really must have the heart of a Rotarian to be here beyond the 20 years. So congratulations. Yeah.
Well,
let's talk about your club, Rosslyn-Fort Myer. What does it stand for in the community? In other words, what does the community say your club stands for?
Well, our club is very small now. It's been larger and smaller in the past, but all the time that I've been associated with the club, it's concentrated on projects abroad. The reason, no doubt, is because the membership when I joined was, except for me, pretty much foreign service people or people close to that. There was always a foreign connection to the club. There were times that we did community service as well, but it was always the foreign grants that were most attractive to our club.
Okay. What are some of your signature projects that you all are involved in?
We've spent a lot of time on African matters. We started out, one of our members who arrived at our club just before me had been a founder and a teacher of a school in Uganda. So you won't be surprised to hear that the next thing that happened was a concentration on Uganda. Because he knew people and he knew what the needs were, so we kind of followed along. Our first project was a Books for Africa project that this member introduced our club to. We've subsequently had a big water project in a set of villages in Uganda, and all the time we were a very small club. So it's quite something.
President Daniel, how does your club identify the needs of a community or an international community? How do you identify and decide which initiatives you all want to take on?
Well, the beautiful thing is when dealing with foreign possible projects, the need is always there. So if you miss by a little to start with, there's still going to be need in the community that you picked. And beyond that, we have actually questioned people running clubs that wanted to cooperate with us and try to ascertain what the situation was, what the need was, what we could do. And it's been pretty successful.
And that's wonderful, because I think one of the hardest things in doing the international or the global work is identifying the partner, the recipient partner club in that area that will partner with you to support the initiative. Has that been easy for you, because you all know so many people because you're foreign service members in your
Well,
club?
it's been very easy because when a member would join the club, sure enough, he would carry with him or her a need identified abroad. So it was just a question of ascertaining that this suggestion that this member was bringing with them was indeed a need and something that we could do. We've had several projects like that. It's a lot of fun. It guarantees basically the interest in the guy who is suggesting the project, that he or she will stay involved for however long it takes.
Yes, because I think those champions have to hang in there for, as you just said, for however long it takes. Do many of your members actually visit the clubs or the projects that you're working on internationally?
Yes, our Uganda projects, our member who suggested these projects in the first place also had other connections in Uganda, so he was going back and forth and had some idea, at least initially, how the projects were working. And Ugandan culture is such that there is a price for everything. And this fellow actually had to put out his own resources to get whatever we were shipping there, the books, to get them off the docks and to wherever they were going. So it was very nice of him.
Now, but we always say the heart of a Rotarian. You know, we're going to ensure that people get what they need, in spite of, we make sure that happens. Do you partner with other clubs in the district when you are sponsoring these global projects?
We haven't up until now. We're now partnering with several clubs. It's not a global grant quite yet. It's a collection of district grants that have been committed to a project actually in our area. We have sort of partnered with clubs outside the district in the United States on such a project.
Wonderful. Do you find that for our listening audience who may even be considering, sometimes people want to do these things, but they just don't know how to get it started, is a global grant fairly easy to achieve to make some of the projects happen, or is that something that takes a lot of man hours?
Oh, it takes a lot of everybody hours. Rotary, I'm happy to say, has a very disciplined system for reviewing grants, and essentially a potential grant has to go up the ladder. First, of course, the club has to review what it's going to be. Then the district's specialist in global grants is going to review it, and then the Rotary Foundation in Chicago is going to review it, and questions are asked along the way, and we have to have suitable answers in order for the project to be funded.
Absolutely, that's wonderful. Switching gears a little bit, or continuing around with that same mindset with service above self, and you're talking about that being a principle that shows up, you know, in your club. How does that impact you personally in your professional or your personal life?
Um, the thing that, that really gave me the most pleasure doing was driving for the Veterans Administration. The Veterans Administration has a big hospital in the district, and there were vets spread over our area in Northern Virginia who had to be transported. Our club very much needed community service, and this passed for community service at the time. But it was enjoyable for me. It was meeting new people who had experiences that I didn't have. So it was a win all the way around.
Wow. What's one special moment you could think of that was very meaningful to you?
Um, well, really, it was a whole string of moments, and it really was driving. I haven't participated in other projects, but as far as being special for me, the driving was, you know, it was difficult and it took hours, and I wasn't a kid by then. But the passengers were appreciative, and I got to share with them their experiences and my experiences. So it was again good all around. Uh, uh, Doing things for people, it turns out, is at least as satisfactory for the person who's doing the things as for the person who's receiving the things. And I learned that early on, and it was true.
All right. Well, we're going to take a short break and be right back and talk more with President Daniel. Please stay with us.
Possibilities are all around us. We see potential in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action in communities all around the world. Together, we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved at Rotary.org.
Welcome back to the Rotary Times. We're here talking with Rotarian Daniel Burkitt, the president of the Rotary Club of Rosslyn-Fort Myer, Virginia, for the 24-25 Rotary year. We heard a lot from you, President Daniel, about service above self and how special that is to not just you, but to Rotarians in general, because that's the model or the motto that we operate under. So thank you for sharing that. Let's now switch gears a bit and talk about membership. What would you say to someone who's viewing right now who might be considering membership in Rotary?
That kind of person would be receiving from us at any offering of interest. We I'm sure all of our members would jump up to the opportunity and explain what Rotary is and what our club is as soon as could be. And there would be a demonstration of friendship. Our club really is more than anything else a bunch of people who are friends and get together and try to get projects done, but the friendship is always there.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. It's about people from varying backgrounds, ages, gender, doesn't really matter. But the common denominator is, would you say, service? People who want to give back to their communities?
Indirectly, yes, but the starting point almost always is friendship to start with, and talking to a person over months or years about joining, or coming up with a project that we have reason to believe would be interesting to a person. We we used to have speakers at every meeting, and quite often we would first of all, we'd gravitate to speakers that were of interest to the club, and we were apt to frame projects around what the speakers were doing.
President Daniel, what type of club is your club? Are you a breakfast, lunch, evening?
Well, we are currently a lunch club, and for the greatest part of our history, we have been a lunch club. We used to meet at the Holiday Inn in Roslyn, overlooking Key Bridge, but that place was torn down during COVID, and we had to move elsewhere, and we have moved elsewhere. And at different times of day, really, to make it possible for people who are members, but not active members, to join us. It didn't really work, but we tried very hard to do it that way.
Yeah, well, it's a lot to do. And that takes me to my next question. We talked a bit about recruitment. Now I'd like to ask you about retaining good members. How do you keep your members engaged?
Again, it's the friendship element. The folks who are currently members of our club, by and large, have been members of the club and talking to each other and visiting each other's homes for, we'll say, 10, 15 years.
Do you have some clubs I've heard do mixers after hours or other team-led kinds of activities to kind of keep people busy? Keep the current members engaged in the club, assigning roles in the club for them?
We haven't recently. We have one member who's off as a docent in Alaska on the Alaska Railroad, and we have other members who are, or another member who's in bad health. So we haven't been able to get together as much as we did in the past. We used to, with some regularity, visit each other's homes.
Mm-hmm. How often does your club meet a month?
We meet every Tuesday at lunchtime at the Hyatt Hotel in Roslyn, Hyatt Centric Hotel.
Wonderful. How is your club supporting the next generation of leaders?
That's a good point. Years ago, we detected that although I think all of the senior high schools in Arlington had Rotary clubs engaged with them, the Career Center in South Arlington did not, and we got involved with them more and more over the years. We provided scholarship assistance for graduating seniors, and we've been involved. Well, we set up an Interact Club there, I should not forget to say, and up until this year, it was very active, doing good things. This year, for reasons unbeknownst to us, things didn't work out, so we'll have to give it extra attention in the coming few months.
Absolutely, absolutely, because that's our future, and we don't want to lose that. So I would agree with you there, and thank you for the scholarships, because it is getting harder and harder for kids to be able to afford to go to higher ed. So thank you for that. What do you think Rotary will look like in the future? What do you think is in our future as an organization?
I hate to even guess about that, because Rotary is working so hard to get and attract members and thinking up all kinds of stratagems to accomplish this. As a president, I'm always being contacted by Rotary about attending training sessions and improving my membership attraction skills and our membership chair as well. So I really don't have a very good picture of what's going to happen. Rotary for years has emphasized getting youthful leaders of the community engaged in your club. And I know the other service clubs in Arlington are doing exactly the same thing and all over the country, but the average age keeps creeping up. And our club is right at the top of where it's creeping up to.
That is something to think about. When you get new members, do you do some form of onboarding in your club to get everybody acclimated to the club and, you know, involved in the life of the club?
No, for years and years and years, well, as long as I've been a member of the club, we haven't operated that way. We always used Rotary's formal Rotary Leadership Institute as training for our members. And of course, that was very professional training by and large, much better than and more complete than anything our members could provide. So I suppose the members' interaction with newer members provides a little bit of familiarization with Rotary things. But if we really want somebody to learn what Rotary is all about, we depend on the Rotary Leadership Institute.
Yeah, and RLI, it's wonderful. It's not that expensive, but it's in 3 parts. So you encourage your new members to take advantage of that?
We do.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Do you all support it financially? In other words, do you pay for your members to attend, or does the member have to pay themselves?
From the time I joined the club until fairly recently, members paid themselves, but at some point along the line, the club split the cost of RLI attendance with whoever is training. You know, by and large, we can afford the amounts called for. So we don't like to empty the club treasury for that purpose.
Well, have you looked into, and I don't know if they still do this, but the district used to reimburse clubs for, you know, those individuals that get
Right.
new members to go to RLI. I don't know, do they still do that?
Well, I guess they do. But the latest offers we've seen were basically pay for 3 and you can have 4 attending the training.
Okay.
And of course, we're a small club and paying for 3.
Right.
If we could find 3 members to join at a time, it would be a very good day.
I hear you. Well, it's good to hear. Well, as we come to the end of the program, how can viewers get involved or in your club? How can they find you?
Well, we do have a website. It's in the process of being fixed up. So the information on there is old, but RosslynRotary.net will get them into our website. And of course, the district and Rotary International have listings where if you know you're going to be in Philadelphia on Thursday, you can find out who's meeting on Thursday and give them a call.
All righty. Well, thank you so much, President Daniel, for sharing your club with the viewing audience. And we may just take you up on one of your Tuesdays. So thank you for saying yes to the ask.
Yes, indeed. Yes, we have hybrid meetings. We always are on the internet with our meetings. We have one member who's out in Phoenix, Arizona, so
Yeah,
we got to do it.
I'm glad we have hybrid meetings because sometimes if you're away, you don't have to miss. So that's a great thing. Yeah, good. For the Rotary Times program, I am your host, Rotarian Dr. Deborah Jackson from the Rotary Club of McLean, Virginia. You're welcome to join us at a Rotary Club in your area, either for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a service project. You can find a club near you by looking us up on the internet. Many clubs are hosting meetings in person, virtually, or in some hybrid format. You only need to look us up for details. Remember, Our time is your time, and it's always time well spent. Please join us for our next program as we continue to celebrate Rotary's 118 years of service above self. Funding for this program is made possible by the generosity of Rotarian Lynn Heinrichs, State Farm Agency, McLean, Virginia.